Today, I'm diving into something completely new, a review of your wallets. Now, a few weeks ago, I placed a community poll out there and offered a submission portal for you all to put forward your wallets and your credit card goals for me to look through and consult on. Now, I got a ton of incredibly detailed submissions, so thank you for that. Too many to possibly go through. However, I was able to pick a few, and today I'm going to introduce you to an extremely high income earner who is very much so Team Cashback, who I have to slowly lead in the direction of Team Travel to help them accomplish their credit card goals. This is going to be a fun one, so let's dive right in. Let me start out by introducing you to Taylor. Taylor is a very experienced credit card user with at least 5 credit cards in their history. They have a very good credit score between 740 and 799. They have an extremely strong income of over $120,000 a year and only supporting 2 people on that income. Their rewards preference is travel points and miles, which is a little funny when you see their setup here in just a second. They have an annual fee tolerance of over $250, and their top priorities in their credit card game are focusing on earnings categories, then travel benefits, then sign-up bonuses, and last but not least, airport lounge access. Their highest spending areas are in rent, dining, travel, groceries, and gas, and their goal is to have a setup that not only gets them 3x back in all major categories, but also allows them to earn on cards that will allow them to quote-unquote travel luxuriously on points alone. Now, to introduce you to Taylor's specific credit cards that Taylor's working with today, I want to introduce you to the Credit Card Roadmap and Spend Analysis, and you can find this resource for yourself on rdguarantee.com/guides for a free download. Taylor has the Bilt MasterCard, which Taylor uses for rent and rent day bonuses. They have the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which they utilize on dining, travel, and travel protections. The Chase Freedom Flex, which they use for rotating categories, of course, drugstores, and a limited time grocery welcome offer that's currently getting them 10x back on groceries up to their first $12,000 in spend. Taylor has the Bank of America Unlimited Cash Rewards with preferred rewards enabled, meaning they're getting 2.625% back on everything, and the BOA Customized Cash Rewards with preferred rewards enabled, meaning they're getting 5% back in online shopping. You may be wondering what those yellow highlights are on Taylor's credit card roadmap. Well, those are some of the prime areas that I'm going to dive into today, switch things around, and help Taylor achieve their goals. Now, a few other notes on Taylor's consult form. Taylor is close to 524 status with Chase, currently at 424, and will be dropping down to 224 in June of 2026, so about a year from the time this video is released. Next of all, Taylor personally let me know that they're trying to get out of the Bank of America ecosystem and fully transition into points. Bank of America currently tackles gas, online shopping, and catch-all for them at some of those incredibly high cash back rates enabled through the Preferred Rewards program. And Taylor said they're considering the Amazon Prime Visa, the Fidelity Visa, and would be willing to explore an airline or hotel credit card if it really gave them the right value. Now that you understand Taylor's credit card setup, I'm going to pull out a few key factors that I see here before we start messing with some things and getting Taylor on the right track. The first thing is I have to compliment you, Taylor. I love your setup spending coverage. This is often the first place I start, and as you can see in the credit card roadmap, one of the key categories is listing out your cards and identifying which card is responsible for your highest spending areas and how much exactly in return you're going to get on every dollar you spend in those categories. Taylor is earning a minimum of 2.625 back on everything that they get. Not only that, I have to compliment you, Taylor. Getting that 10x back in the Chase Freedom Flex on groceries is simply overpowered and can be an incredible welcome offer if you max out that possible benefit. The next thing I appreciate is Taylor has a clear goal. They're not there yet, but Taylor wants to travel luxuriously with the goal of using points only. And if possible, Taylor wants a completely optimized setup, which is getting 3x back on every major spend category. Now, the last thing I like is Taylor has an affordable setup. Too many people jump into the credit card game and end up with all these high-powered but expensive annual fee cards, and we've all made mistakes, myself probably more than the average person, but it can be harder to track backwards off of high annual fee cards rather than starting in a really good foundation like Taylor is with a low annual fee load. In fact, Taylor's only annual fee card is the extremely reasonable beginner travel card, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and it's $95 annual fee. However, there's a few things I don't like about what Taylor has going on. I have to be honest about these before we get into the revisions and making this setup what could be a 10 out of 10 for what Taylor wants.
The first thing is goal misalignment. Taylor's goal with credit cards is to use them to travel luxuriously with points. However, Taylor is currently running a highly optimized cashback setup.
These things just don't align. So much of Taylor's typical spend is categorized in cashback earning areas, and while cashback is great, especially at the rate that Taylor's earning, it's not as powerful as points can be, especially when used right. Taylor's just not set up for success as it currently stands right now. One simple concept to illustrate the difference between Team Travel and Team Cashback is that the number to beat right now is 2.62%. That's the non-category cashback earnings through Taylor's Bank of America card. Even if you implement a Chase Freedom Unlimited card in this setup, and you're earning only a flat 1.5x back, considerably less than what Taylor currently gets on everything else categories, if you redeem Chase points through Hyatt as a transfer partner and get a solid 2 cent per point valuation, which is extremely possible at a high redemption partner like Hyatt, well, your dollars spent instantly become worth a 3% return. That's already beating out your 2.625%. The second thing I don't like is Taylor's future plans. Taylor specifically mentioned getting the Amazon Prime Visa and the Fidelity Visa, which in a vacuum are great cards. However, again, they're not aligned with Team Travel and Taylor's stated goals for what they want their wallet to do for them. Quite frankly, Taylor, I think you're addicted to earning cash back. And while that is a tough addiction to break, getting on the other side to Team Travel can be just as rewarding. And I think I have a setup here that's gonna work for what you're baseline comfortable with, but also expand your boundaries a little bit and push you more towards that Team Travel and some of the experiences that I think you're wanting out of your wallet. Here are my recommendations. Step 1 is to gear up for Team Travel. We're taking the full-on dive in, and we're gonna pull out the Bank of America Unlimited Cash Rewards credit card. That's the card that's currently earning a flat 2.625% back on all other purchases. And I want to swap in the Capital One Venture X. The Venture X, of course, earns 10x back on hotels and rental cars through the portal, 5x back on flights booked through the portal, and a flat 2x miles back on everything else. Now, Taylor, I'm going to let you keep your Bank of America customized cash because 5% in cash rewards on that online shopping category, well, that's too good to pass up, and I still want to keep you in a hybrid setup. However, I need you to let go of the unlimited cash rewards and swap over to the 2x miles flat on the Venture X. To illustrate the power of 2x miles, which I think you already know by now, is that even if you're getting just a flat 1.5 cent per point valuation in your redemptions, which can be difficult for domestic travel, but is very possible for some of those more luxurious international destinations, you're earning a 3% return on spend through that card. That already will beat out your higher earning unlimited cash rewards card. The next area that the Venture X addresses is point influx. While earning high multipliers in categories is great, the single biggest way to make a real difference in your point accumulation for the purposes of getting cool travel redemptions is going to be through sign-up bonuses. And the Venture X packs a punch with a 75,000 miles standard sign-up bonus. I also want to note that the card gets lounge access, which was noted as being nice, and TSA PreCheck status. The second step here is I want Taylor to add synergy into their wallet. Taylor's gonna love this because it knocks out a ton of different advantageous areas and maximizes the wallet. One, it adds a nice little sign-up bonus, which again is boosting points that Taylor wasn't really getting in bunches before. Two, it maximizes the entertainment and streaming categories, offering 3x or 3% back in both of those as well. Finally, the synergy is perfect with the Capital One Duo. Taylor can simply transfer Savor rewards points over to the Venture X card and turn them into miles, and then have a chance of redeeming those for even higher values in travel spend. Step 3 is I strongly want to recommend that Taylor gets their Player 2 involved. Taylor has a ton of advantages coming in: a strong income, a good credit score, a very strong setup to begin with, and extremely clear goals. However, we want to work with every opportunity possible that Taylor provided in the consult, and Taylor mentioned that there's 2 people involved in this relationship, and a player 2 is a fantastic advantage if you want to push the lever to full throttle in the points and miles game. Taylor can get their player 2 involved with the Chase Sapphire Preferred and the Capital One Venture X, both extremely high leverage opportunities to accumulate points quickly and take on travel that a lot of people just couldn't experience for a greatly reduced or completely free price. Both of these cards specifically I mentioned because they have outsized value for a very reasonable annual fee based on Taylor's current spending habits and travel goals. And my 4th and final recommendation, which I will consider an optional one for Taylor to take on, would be what I call taking advantage of your surroundings. I messaged Taylor back in the process to get a little bit of clarification and find out a bit more. And Taylor, thank you for sending me back such a detailed response. One of the most critical points that I pulled out from my conversation with Taylor is that Taylor's home airport is located in Atlanta. And if you know anything about the Atlanta airport, you know that it's big, but you know that Delta completely covers in the Atlanta airport. This is Delta's main hub, and it actually accounts for 75% of airline traffic going in and out of Atlanta. That being said, I see a ton of value for Taylor to tap into Delta cards as experiential cards to enhance what Taylor already has going on in their core setup and with the recommended additions that I've proposed today. Taylor, I think it's a great idea if you climb the Delta ladder. You could start with the gold or the platinum card and then potentially even advance the reserve. You're going to be able to stack even more sign-up bonuses, get 15% off of your award flights, free check bags, and I believe offset the annual fees with the amount of travel that you're looking to do and the discretionary income that you already have to take some of these trips. Best yet, the most significant benefit of going with the Delta card, specifically the Platinum or the Reserve, is going to be that you're running a credit card strategy for 2 people, and both of those top tier cards come with a companion certificate. Those top 2 cards also both come with TSA PreCheck, allowing both you and the other person that you spend on with those cards to both have that status covered through a Delta card and your Venture X. A Delta SkyMiles card was practically built for Taylor, so Taylor, if you want to have some fun and enhance your travel strategy there, I think it's open for the taking. Now let's look in summary as to where Taylor stands after this consultation and the recommendations that I have are completed. Taylor still has a well-rounded wallet. The Savor Rewards card is an excellent addition to continue maximizing on the earnings categories, and while the Venture X seems to be a step back in terms of earnings in the door, there is the potential for luxurious trips on points, as Taylor requested, to get that cent per point value to actually get increased return on spend compared to the Bank of America cards that Taylor was currently carrying. Now, no setup is perfect, and some of the burdens that Taylor will feel are an increased load management for these credit cards. I don't think this is going to be much of an issue because seeing what I saw in Taylor's consultation form, Taylor's detailed, goal-oriented, and very strategic already. However, investing in an app like Card Pointers to help you manage your wallet could be a good decision, and at the very least, getting the credit card guide and roadmap and managing your cards in that manner is going to be a recommended way forward. Taylor, I would recommend looking at the Venture X, then pursuing the Savor Rewards card, then getting your player 2 involved, and if you like your setup at that point, taking a dip into some of the Delta cards. I also encourage you to just sock drawer your Bank of America cards and not cancel them completely because life has its funny twists and turns, and at any point if you want to transfer or shift your spending out of points and miles, you could seamlessly transition back into cashback, turn that lever on, and get the return on spend flowing right into cold hard cash if life would call for it. Taylor, I think you're in a good place, and I think for someone like you, this is a very achievable and worthwhile step in your credit card journey. I'm interested to hear what you think. Thanks for tuning in, and best of luck to you in the rest of your roadmap.